Welcome, Toastmasters from District 31 and beyond, and even guests who are not Toastmasters. Welcome to the District 31 Club Close-Up Series, a video interview series where I interview clubs from District 31. We learn about their clubs, the great things they're doing to engage their existing members and recruit new ones. I'm Christian Austin, the 2023-2024 District 31 Public Relations Manager, and today we're joined by Advanced Access Toastmasters Club. As you may have gathered from their name, the first word advanced, they are an advanced club operating in hybrid out of Brookline, Massachusetts. We'll say more about how to contact the club at the end of the interview, and it'll be posted in the show notes as well. I'd like to point out first, though, that Advanced Access Toastmasters Club, a little bit of trivia here, was founded October 31st, 2013. So what does that mean? Right around the corner, I think we have a 10th anniversary coming up for the Advanced Access Club. And do we have any founding members online with us this evening? Gail.
Well, I was
Susan.
Susan was a part of the whole founding, but I joined when it started.
Fantastic. So we have founding members of the Advanced Access Toastmasters Club with us this evening as well. Pay attention because they'll have some great tips and some great advice for both clubs that are not advanced and advanced clubs as well. So make sure you pay attention. Tonight, we're going to be doing an interview in a panel discussion format with the club. That means that I'll be your panelist and I will be your moderator and each of the officers will be your panelists for a discussion this evening. I'll pose a question and anyone who would like to answer the question about the club can chime in and we'll go around the room until there's no additional input, and we'll move on to the next question. So make sure to get those notepads out, those sticky notes, whatever you write down your tips on, because we're going to get some great advice tonight from Advanced Access Toastmasters Club. But before we get started, let's get to know everyone around the virtual roundtable of our panel discussion. I'd like to start with the president of Advanced Access, Eileen. Eileen, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Certainly. So I've been a Toastmaster for 20 years, and I have been a member of as many as 3 clubs. And I have to say, I think that it's my membership in Advanced Access that really is the reason I remain a member as long as I have. Oddly enough, it's the first time in 20 years that I'm president of a club again, although I've had many other offices. And I find the challenge of an advanced club appropriate and a step up from the regular clubs that I was a member of for many, many years as well. And that's really what's helped me improve my speaking.
See, 20 years and you can still continue to improve, and we'll learn more about what advanced clubs can do for you during the panel discussion. Mm-hmm. Moving on next to Gail, one of the founding members of the club. Gail, can you please introduce yourself?
I'm Gail O'Brien. I'm an executive coach and a writer, and I joined Toastmasters initially 12 years ago when I was in California and moved here to Massachusetts soon after. What I absolutely love about being part of an advanced club is that we have an opportunity to continue to raise the bar on ourselves gently but perseveringly. I value that we have a purpose statement. I value that we are holding ourselves accountable to striving for excellence in our speaking. And all of that just makes it extremely interesting. But the most important thing, I think, is the sense of belonging and connection that we have as a club. There are some new members, there are some longtime members. It's been difficult with COVID and not being together as a community in person. but we're learning how to get a little more agile with that. What matters is that it feels good to attend the monthly meetings.
Thank you, Gail, and hopefully we'll hear some more about your club's mission statement and the community that the club fosters as well during the panel discussion. Moving on now, Kristen, can you please introduce yourself and your role within the club?
Thanks, Christian. My name is Kristen Culver. I'm a distinguished Toastmaster, and I've been a member of this club almost my entire time as a Toastmaster. I've been a Toastmaster about 10 years. And the thing that maybe you don't know what an SAA is, I know it's an acronym, it's Sergeant at Arms. I'm the person who basically sets up the club meeting and makes sure there's a space to meet. We are a hybrid club. So what happens is we have a live stream through Zoom with a conference camera and microphone while we have members in the room at the same time. So it's a live experience in person and online. It's the best of both worlds. It's a little bit of a challenge, but I must say I really do enjoy our monthly meetings, as Eileen mentioned and Gail has mentioned as well, because of that experience.
Thank you for that, Kristen. Kristen mentioned distinguished Toastmaster. I think we have several distinguished Toastmasters online with us, even if they didn't say it. I see some nodding in our windows. Moving on next to another distinguished Toastmaster, David. David, can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you, Christian. I'm David Lintz. I think I've been a member of Advanced Access the shortest period of time of everyone on the screen. I joined in January of 2018 after receiving an email from Gail addressed to, I think, 30 people who recently became competent communicators telling us that we should join. And I actually took her advice, which I think turned out to be a very wise decision. There's a number of great things to say about the meetings. There's also a few great things to say about the sense of community. And if you'll indulge me, two quick stories. I became president of this club 6 months after I joined in July on the theory that the way you teach people is you throw them in the fire. And the first call I got after the election was from Gail saying, "Oh, so wonderful you became president. That's so great. Thank you, Gail. Here's what you need to know about the club, and here's the first 5 issues you need to address." And throughout the year, a constant source of information. Second quick story, I'm going to pick on Lee, who attended the club speech contest, which, as good as I thought I did, the judges didn't agree, and I lost that contest. And Lee came up to me shortly after the contest ended and said, "David, just wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed your speech. It was really wonderful. Thank you, Lee. I kid you not, here's the 14 things you could have done better that might have led to a different result." And he starts listing this 14 items. And, two thoughts running through my mind. First, who does something like that? But the thing was, I can't believe it. He's spot on all 14 things. And I actually took notes, went back. He was right about all those things. And it's just examples of how everybody in the club is around to help everybody else improve. You get a lot of advice, sometimes even when you don't ask for it, but the advice always comes from the heart, always comes from a good place. And it's just the way that we're able to help each other advance.
Thank you, David. And the 14 points on speech improvement, you must say, oh my goodness, that is a lot of critiquing. However, that is part of the advanced club. It's constructive feedback. And David said every one of those points was right and helped him improve. Hopefully we'll talk some more about the feedback and evaluations that advanced club give during the panel discussion. I'd also like to point out, for those who've been watching the video series, you may have seen David before. Any member that has an experienced Toastmaster can join an advanced club. This is a secondary or tertiary or maybe even fourth club for certain members. David belongs to multiple clubs. That's why he's with us again this evening for Advanced Access Toastmasters. Moving on now to one of our founding members, Susan. Susan, can you please introduce yourself?
Good evening. My name is Susan Harrington, and the club, I don't know if I can kind of brag and say came about because of me. We were looking for a site just to have an informational, and I was doing a cable show in Brookline. We were asked, could we use the space for an informational? And at that time, the person who was in our district, she convinced them to let us have an advanced club there before we even had a city club. So because of Brookline Access Television, which is now called Big, we have advanced access and Toast with Friends, which, because of a number of reasons, we've had to leave the station, and we're now at advanced access is at the police station, and Toast with Friends is at the senior center in Brookline. I've been in Toastmaster for over 10 years. However, what I have found beneficial to me personally with being part of the advanced club is I do a great deal of community theater. I do not act. I do not perform on stage, that is. My performance comes from trying to get other people to participate in the production or whether it be on stage or backstage. And I have found that the skills that I have developed, even though this was something that I did before I became a Toastmaster, have improved and enhanced with being a Toastmaster. And with VPPR, that's helped. The only thing is we have to look within our own group. So we need to make people understand why they really need to be part of an advanced club.
Thank you for that, Susan. And some history about where advanced access came from. Public access TV. Who would have thought that a Toastmaster club can come out of that? But that's what happens when you network with people. You find out what Toastmasters can do, or an advanced Toastmasters club can do, and what happens? One gets founded. Thanks for sharing that, Susan. Moving on, last but not least, Lee, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. So I am president of another club, Speak Up Cambridge, and my work there has been dedicated to re-engineering the meeting experience. So for me to go to, and I've been a Toastmaster in about 13 years, and coming to Advanced Access, it's a much more traditional club, which is refreshing for me. And I can't imagine my Toastmaster life without this club, because it really raises the bar for me. I adore the people in this club, and it pushes me to just be better and to really pay attention. I was one of those people. First of all, I never imagined myself when I joined Toastmasters ever becoming an officer, never mind president of a club. And when I first heard about advanced clubs, I remember talking to somebody that was in the top 3 of the district, and it just sounded so intimidating. They were all district officers and they were all distinguished Toastmasters. I couldn't fathom ever being in something like that. And I came to Advanced Access, and it was a great meeting, and I never turned back. It pushes me to just be a better evaluator and a better speaker, but really so much of a better evaluator. And also it helps me with my other community club, because I get so much input and so many ideas from the folks in this club. So it's a great thing.
Thanks for sharing that, Lee. And I think so many people's stories that they didn't anticipate becoming an officer, one thing led to another, and then they haven't turned back afterwards. The one question with the advanced clubs seeming intimidating but not being intimidating is that those top 3 people in the district that you named, was that because of the advanced club that they elevated to that level? Because probably was. They were probably one of those people that was intimidated. They came to that advanced club and they elevated their level of speaking and leadership and became one of those top 3 leaders in the district. Thanks for sharing that, Lee. Well, we've got an introduction to all of our officers / panelists for the discussion this evening. Let's get into the panel discussion. But the first question I want to ask, it's been implied several times during the introductions, and I'll open this to the floor. Can you tell us exactly what an advanced club is?
I'll take a stab at it.
Yeah.
I think that the value of an advanced club is that once you step into it, you recognize that in addition to the things that Toastmasters sets up for us to improve, that there is this sort of psychological benefit of seeing that we get to create the space of our possibility. And we get to learn from each other in our experimentation of the kinds of things that we think are the most important. Lee's a terrific evaluator. People watch that and learn. Others of us are good at a variety of things. And it's a very, it's a space where we're serious about it, where it matters, because in our business life or in our social life or whatever, we want that capacity to be articulate and effective and make a difference with our words and our body language and everything else. So I think it isn't putting pressure on us. It's giving us an opportunity to roam through the process, picking up exactly what we think we need.
I would just add
Go ahead, David.
I would just add a few things to that very fine summary from Gail. One of the differences I think with an advanced club is since people have been around for a while, or at least a lot of clubs have been around for a while, we feel a little bit more freedom about tinkering with what the structure of the meeting is. Lee described it as a typical meeting, which I think is true, but one place where it isn't typical is in addition to having the regular evaluation, the regular 2 to 3 minute evaluation, we also have a group evaluation, which actually goes on for longer. And in the group evaluation, you aren't trying to cover a lot of ground. You're pointing out one specific thing that you thought was exceptional about the speech, or also, as Susan always says, you often give a gift, which is a piece of advice about how you might improve the speech in the future, or how you might improve something in your speaking style. So the benefit, at least for me, of getting that many different points of critique from so many people is it helps you see that sometimes you hear something just doesn't resonate with you. And then if you hear other people say, no, that's not the point, it's actually this or whatever, it helps you understand that you should take the advice as just an opinion. And the fact that the person assigned the role of the evaluator, the words are not coming down from Mount Sinai. It's one person's opinion. And just having all the different opinions at one time, I think is very helpful. The second thing we did with the evaluations, and again, this was led by Gail, was to change the evaluation form. I think one of the knocks on Pathways is you basically get the same evaluation form for whatever project, no matter how different the projects are. So we're doing the same thing. We have one evaluation form at Advanced Access, but it really digs into some detail about what really makes for a good speech. What does it mean to be a speech that's meaningful to people? What's a speech that creates value for people? And it's an evaluation structured in that sense. So at least for me, I find it a much more valuable evaluation than the standard one that Pathways has.
Can I just add one thing to what David said? Actually, it was Eileen and me and 2 other people who created the idea that we really wanted to up our game in evaluations. And we had half of the club as a committee and Lee was on that, who participated in that. And it took us, David was president, it took us, 6 months or something before we finally got this together. And that doesn't happen unless you have an energy from the president and from others that we really, really want to do our best. And so that's, I think, another reason why an advanced club opens up horizons.
Thank you for all that input. I don't know if you'd be open to sharing that evaluation form. We can talk about that afterwards. We may have that in the show notes, but the 3 points that I picked up on here, what is different about an advanced club from what I heard? Different opinions from a group evaluation. It doesn't come down from Mount Sinai. Changing in the evaluation form, having a specific evaluation form that digs deep, and having the energy of the club members to do something like that. You're coming to the advanced club, people want to improve, they have high energy, and they're going to encourage you to improve as a member as well. That is what an advanced club is. That's what I heard all of you saying.
So, and I'll just give you a very practical response to everything that's been said. One of the challenges when you become an experienced Toastmaster and finish whatever the requisite number of speeches is, let's say it was the old competent communicator, or it's 2 or 3 paths in the current program. And if you remain a Toastmaster and continue to give speeches in a regular club, you have the possibility that the people who are evaluating you are brand new Toastmasters. And they're somewhat limited in their experience, obviously, and understandably. And so I began to find that a bit of a challenge when I now was being evaluated by somebody who might have barely have given 3 speeches, and I'm, working on some advanced book. The beauty of the advanced clubs is you have evaluations coming from other experienced Toastmasters, and that just basis of knowledge makes it so much more valuable to be a member of a advanced club, if in fact you're committed to Toastmasters.
Another good point with having experienced members, not just listening to speeches, but getting their years of experience in the feedback and evaluation as well. There's going to be deeper thought that goes into it just because the members have more experience as to the feedback they are giving you, in addition to the group evaluations as well, getting feedback from multiple people.
Can I chime in on this?
Absolutely, Kristen.
I'm a big fan of the mentoring program. And one of the things I've noticed is people seem to think that advanced speakers don't need mentors, but it's actually the other way around. A lot of us not only need mentors because there's still some area that we might be weak in, but sometimes it's just good to have someone challenge you, to grow you, to lift your lid and give you something you hadn't considered before. So even when you think you know everything, there's still someone in the room who knows a little bit more than you about one topic. And that's the person you want to reach out to work with. And there's so many to choose from in an advanced club.
Mentoring as well, Kristen, right? When you're playing in an elite level of sports, you want to move up a level and play with people that are better than you. This is what an advanced club is. Even if people aren't better than you in all areas, as you pointed out, they're probably better than you in at least one area. And you can view them and what they're doing as somebody to look up to as a mentor for you.
So while we're on this topic, I think it's a good place to point out the importance of getting better at giving evaluations and being able to critique something, do it with humanity and humility, and be able to come up with suggestions and ideas that you then can pass along to the person for how they can improve. Having been involved with leadership development at a corporate level for many years, this is a very challenging skill because we're asking managers to evaluate people who report to them, and yet they kind of need to broaden their ideas of how to do that, how to do it well, what they can suggest, how to look at different aspects of management. And personally, I found this valuable, and I can tell you it tremendously helped influence the design of training programs.
Next, I mean, we're talking a lot about evaluations, which is something that is equally important in a Toastmasters club as it is giving that speech. And that is something that has been emphasized several times about what advanced clubs accelerate at, is giving those not only giving the evaluations, but teaching how to give good evaluations, think we've all received evaluations before where there's rose-colored glasses on and the evaluation is all positive, and that's not what we want to hear. We want to hear the critical feedback. How do you give that critical feedback as an evaluator without sounding like you are putting the person down or making like the speech was not a good speech? You're giving that critical feedback, and there's a way to do that you learn from members in advanced clubs as well. I did want to ask what your club's doing differently than non-advanced clubs to help members elevate their speaking skills, but I think we touched on most of those already. Are there any other topics we didn't touch on about what advanced clubs are doing that non-advanced clubs are not necessarily doing to improve speaking or leadership or any other skills?
I want to pick on Gail. She has been working with us on a mission and a vision statement. And we've taken some time to really dig deep, and I'm not as well versed in it, but because you are, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more, because that's something I don't think any other clubs I've been in has.
I think a group of us, that's not last year, but the year before, got together. I guess only officers that did this. And we felt strongly that there was something that we needed to do to elevate our own appreciation for what our work ahead as Toastmasters are. And so I think we had 6 officers. The 6 of us just worked back and forth to come up with a 14-word statement that Eileen reads at the beginning of every meeting. And it's very simple. It's striving for excellence in leadership, speaking, and evaluating by supporting and inspiring each other. And that's part of our commitment to creating a community of us. We want to support each other. We want to inspire each other. And because we like each other and know each other, and that's a question really of even new people who have come in, we hope that we create space for friendships and connections that allow us to work together, as well as, being able to take advantage at some point, maybe of going out to dinner together or a variety of other things once COVID is really, moved along.
Thanks, Gail. And if you wouldn't mind, if you could send me the mission statement, I will make sure to post that with the video as well. The mission statement, we think about companies, they have the mission statements that all their employees follow. They're marching in the same direction. Having a mission statement for a club as well. People come to the club, they know what its members are about because they have a specific statement about what all of their members follow. Go ahead, Gail.
It's not a mission statement, it is a purpose statement, because I think a purpose statement has a more elevated way of bringing people together. A mission statement is great, and people do have that. But a purpose statement is really a commitment to what you stand for. And so I think that word is why we chose it, because very successful companies operate from purpose statements as well. And it's where, our values and other things individually connect with that. So if you wouldn't mind, call us a purpose statement.
Gail, and we have evaluation in action right here from an advanced Toastmaster. This is what you're going to get. Words do matter in your speeches. Mission versus purpose. Mission is more of a personal type word. Purpose is a personal type word. So mission versus purpose, 2 different meetings, evaluated that we have a purpose statement and not a mission statement. So thank you for that evaluation, Gail. And you will have words and statements and phrases critiqued when you come to an advanced club, which will only help you get better. Moving on now.
I'd like to chime in on that really quickly, just because first this, because this is an example of the advantage of working with people in Advanced Club. Gail is modest. She works with corporations to craft these statements and explore corporate ethics and a lot of corporate issues in governance. And I happen to be a skeptic of mission statements and purpose statements in general. And Gail very patiently, we had a long, long discussion about this. And Gail was very patient, and she allowed me to voice my opinion and explained why this mattered and convinced me why it mattered. And I became a supportive, active participant. But this is the level of expertise that you get when you join a club like this that I would never have. As much as I love my community club, this just wouldn't happen. And it's one of the great things of it. Just it helps me grow professionally and personally, and so it's just another example. And again, it's, you know, even though you're working with people who are very accomplished in their fields, there's never a level of intimidation or, well, you should know this, or, you know, your opinion doesn't matter. It's just there's just so much support and mentoring that goes on here.
And I just have one more thing to say, if I may. When you think about an advanced club, the type of people that have really diverse backgrounds, and what is really terrific, David's a lawyer, Eileen has a long background in public relations, Susan is a director. I'm not sure that's the best. Do you like being called a director, or do you want to be called something else?
Well, I produce. I'm a production manager.
She's a production manager. Kristen is a very skilled salesperson.
Our excellence.
Lee is a jack of all kinds of trades and information. So when you have that kind of group of people who love certain things in their business life or their retirement life or whatever, it's catching. I mean, Susan had a play recently that a number of us went to. It's not the kind of thing that I would remember to do, but when somebody in our club is engaged in something, it adds to your own life to suddenly think of things that you wouldn't do otherwise, that, several of us went and had a wonderful time. It's not that other clubs don't have a focus on their careers and how that shapes their meetings, but for us, I think it's a real benefit.
Yeah, what you pointed out too is mentioned in the beginning that the club is not just a meeting for people to get better at speaking and evaluations, but it's also a community. Having the purpose statement, people bonding together with the purpose statement, and acting as a community outside of the club as well. You've mentioned people coming in with different interests from diverse backgrounds, getting their experience within the Advanced Club, helping you as a member, and then learning something about people of different backgrounds, different fields, and taking that outside the meeting as a community and a friendship relationship, not just a professional relationship within the club itself. I want to move on now to talk a bit about education. What I've noticed in the Distinguished Club program is that the club has several upper level pathways projects that you've achieved. Last year, there was a level 3, 2 level 4, 5, or DTM projects within the club. And then this year already, you already have 2 level 3s and 1 level 4, 5, or DTM project achieved. Looking at that, it seems like the club is supporting members to have advanced goals because they are an advanced club. Level 3 and up are advanced education projects. So how are you encouraging and supporting members to complete these upper level pathways projects?
I think that if you have a commitment to be in an advanced club, you recognize that there's values in speaking, obviously. And if you're going to speak, here's my simple practice. If you're going to speak, you might as well apply it to one of the projects along the pathways and get pathways credit for it. So a lot of us who make that effort to continue are goal-oriented. We probably were goal-oriented much of our lives and in our careers. These are attainable goals that you can choose to set for yourself. Nobody bangs you over the head and says, this is what you need to do. But if you're going to be in an advanced club, you probably want to speak. And if you're going to speak, then you might as well get credit for it and apply it to the path. So for me, it's a part of just my goal orientation. And I will tell you, though, that, in advanced clubs, we do have members who kind of take a break for a while. They'll come to the meetings, they'll take roles, but they're not eager to step up and start a new path. And I understand that. I totally understand that. But, odds are you might do that for 6 months or a year, and then you're going to say, geez, if I'm going to speak, I might as well get credit for it.
I think there's also something a little bit deceptive if you look at the distribution of awards we get as a club. Almost by definition, if you're a member of Advanced Access, you're also a member of at least one other club or maybe two other clubs. And at that point, as you know, you have an election to make about who you want to give your particular award to.
Mm-hmm.
And in many cases, the lower level award might be more valuable to their other club, that they already have 3 level ones, for example. They just need the 4th one, where if we're at 2, it's not going to help us, or depending on the year, it might be different. So you don't really get a sense of what's happening with an individual by just looking at their awards, which they confer on one of their clubs. You only get that picture if you look at the totality of where they put all their awards. So that information, I just don't think is that informative.
That's a good point, David. As David pointed out, if you're an advanced club, you're in another club as well, a regular club, where you may be giving your pathway level education awards to that club as well. One of the things that I do think you can garner out of the Distinguished Club program with those advanced level projects is the fact that you have all of those advanced level projects checked off by members in this club. Again, emphasizing that if you come to an advanced club, you're going to have people that are working on advanced education projects. And if you think you might want to work on an advanced education project, it's probably a good environment to go into, because you can bounce ideas off of the members of the advanced clubs who are already doing those advanced projects. Would anyone else want to comment on the advanced projects and pathways? All right, let's move on now. I want to talk about membership of advanced clubs. So as advanced clubs, we said you typically belong to another Toastmasters club. So how are you attracting new members to join your advanced club if they already belong to one club already?
So let me just clarify. It's not a formal requirement that you belong to more than one club. It is a requirement that you've completed some level of competence before you join that advanced club. And it used to be that you had to complete the competent communicator and the 10 speeches in the basic program. And so there are levels that a club may require. And while I don't believe it's a requirement to be in 2 clubs, however, I think there's value in being in more than one club, but I don't think it's a requirement.
Thanks, Eileen. I should specify a lot of members are not in an advanced club as their primary club. They belong to other clubs as well. And given that you are potentially conflicting is probably not the right word, competing with having members in multiple clubs and you being a lot of times an additional club, are there challenges with getting members to join your advanced club? And what are you telling potential guests of why they should join your advanced club if they already belong to another club?
Yeah, there are definitely challenges there. And as you know, Kristen, as an officer in another advanced club, just getting the word out and making people aware of what advanced clubs are, and as we're doing here discussing, why would you, if you're already in a club and maybe you feel overtaxed by how much time and energy you're putting in to your first club, why would the heck would you want to then go to a second club? And for all the reasons that we've talked about tonight. Now, how you compress all of that into a very simple statement, it's difficult. Obviously, the first thing that you want people to do is come to a club and experience it, come to a meeting and experience it, and see for themselves what goes on and get a sense for the evaluation process, the speaking, and that sort of thing. But we've talked about having certain events, and we're in the process, for instance, of putting together an evaluation contest. And also, we had an idea of bringing your favorite speech for a round robin critique to our club. And something that we did a few years ago that we are very eager to repeat is to get a hold of one of the top 2 winning speeches for the International Speech Contest and giving a round robin critique of those speeches. It was really successful and eye-opening, and we're hoping to do that again soon. So those are a few ideas. Those are also ideas that other clubs could do to build their membership instead of just an open house. Have something that of value that you are offering your guests, something special. And I think that's really the challenge.
Lee,
Well,
what I heard in, go ahead, Eileen.
Well, I was going to say there are people, and I don't know the current statistics, but I know from being a longtime Toastmaster that many people will finish a level 1, a level 2, and drop out and discontinue their membership in Toastmasters. There's tremendous turnover within people in Toastmasters. Here you have a group of people who have a commitment to longevity in Toastmasters. And I would maintain that the challenge of an advanced club helps actually to maintain that commitment to growing and developing and achieving excellence as a speaker is the value of advanced clubs. Because just look at the membership here. Probably every one of us is a member for close to 10 years or longer than that. And that's not the traditional Toastmaster person for whom there's probably, if we keep them for a year to 2, is excellent tenure.
So extended membership as well, Eileen, and the events that Lee mentioned as well.
Yep.
What I heard there with some of these events, focus on evaluation, giving those evaluations. Great idea with evaluating a winning speech. Just because the speech won doesn't mean it couldn't be improved. And to view a speech at that caliber and evaluate it, it's going to do nothing but make you better as an evaluator as well. While we're talking about membership with guests coming to your club, a guest comes to your club, what are you doing to welcome guests and then follow up with them? And is there a system that you have in place with email, with phone calls, anything in particular that you're doing to follow up with guests and make them feel welcome?
Well, one thing that we do is we started doing under Eileen is that we have a newsletter that comes out and we send it to the membership, but also sending it to any guest so that he or she can, there might be maybe one particular thing that individual focused on, but it gives an overview of the meeting and beyond what would be the minutes to the members. It just gives a general overview of the meeting, and it also reminds them of things that were done. And also it's helpful for members who weren't able to attend, obviously, but this is for someone to see, oh, they do this, they do that, they do the other things.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you go as a guest, you're kind of, in some cases, white knuckling it, and you have tunnel vision. And especially if someone tries to coax you into doing table topics, even though you've done it in your other group, people are thinking, well, this is an advanced group and the table topics has to be, over the moon. But just to see in general, how things are done. And hopefully we're going to follow up with persons who, let's say, come to the September meeting. We didn't see them at the October meeting, but send them the October newsletter and also send it out to former members, especially with the hybrid system. There might be some members who have moved to California or to other states. I know that I myself during COVID visited a group in London twice. So you can still be a member and be part of the advanced lifestyle and serve. I think it's better to say, to show all Toastmasters clubs have the mission, but the purpose, because someone will say, I've had people say, well, what's the purpose of joining an advanced club? Boom, we've got the answer for you.
For that, Susan, and that is a great piece of advice as well. If your club is producing a newsletter, why not use that as follow-up or marketing and promotion material as well? This is what the club is doing. As you said, Susan, people come to the meeting, they're seeing what's going on in the meeting. They may have that tunnel vision. Providing them with the newsletter gives them a wider scope of what's going on within the club, so that if they come back next time, they know it's not just that one way of doing things. The club does many other things as well, as we talked about community. Well, we're coming to a close of the panel discussion. Everyone got some great advice here. But before we conclude, I'd like to ask the club, if the audience hasn't gotten it already, why should somebody come and visit your club? Kristen?
I'd like to jump in here. Just because we're advanced does not make us stuffy. We're actually a very relaxed and fun club. Lee gets the best pastries because we have a snack master. You come for the treats, seriously. But also, once in a while, we have a themed meeting, and I am always pushing for a pirate themed meeting, but maybe once a year for lucky. But we can let our hair down and have fun too, while doing things that grow us.
So I will say, why come to the club? Because you now have the advantage of coming in person or coming via Zoom virtually. And I think that's a tremendous advantage. We have a member who lives in New Hampshire now. There's no way she would be coming to this club if she didn't have the Zoom access. I noticed there were people at our meeting in August who were either running late and had other commitments. And so it was just far easier for them to get on that meeting at home. And I've noticed the last several meetings, we have half the group in person, half the group online. We have even people who are still very COVID shy and for their own personal reasons prefer to be at home. I'm okay with that. We've improved our technology to be hybrid, and I think that's a tremendous benefit of being part of the club and visiting us.
So we talked a lot about reasons for joining the club, dealing with the quality of the members in terms of how far along they are in pathways, talking about the quality of the evaluations and so forth. I would say for me, the most important part of the club is the sense of community and the people I'm hanging out with, which I suppose is something you could say about other clubs. And now I will make a comment, which I'm safe that I won't get kicked under the table by the vice president of membership. But my sense is I wouldn't join this club, or I wouldn't join any club for that matter, without visiting it 2 or 3 times to get a real sense of the people, a real sense of how they interact. Like any other club, we have our good meetings, we have our less good meetings. You can catch a club on a particularly good day, particularly bad day. So get a sense of who the people are. Maybe even you have names and you can pick a name out and somebody can say, Lee, do you have 20 minutes to chat with me about the club? Or anyone, just call some of the people. Most of the vice presidents of membership, I think, would be happy to give you a couple names to call and get a sense of the people who you're going to hang out with. Because, once we join, we stick around with this club for a while. So not quite the same as getting married, but I can tell you the length of time people stay in this club exceeds a heck of a lot of the length of the number of marriages. So come for the skills you'll develop, but stay for the people.
Stay for the marriage, yeah.
And I'd like to add, a wise sage, once I heard a wise sage express, this is not a creative writing club. It's a club where you come to improve your speaking. And so you have the advanced club that you may belong to, and then you have the your community club. So you may want to redo something that you did with your community club and get a different look at it, because it's not creative writing. It's the improve your speaking.
Thank you for that, everyone. Would anyone like to share, if somebody wants to come to your meeting, how they can get in touch with you?
Is right on the free Toast with Host where it says meet our members, and I would welcome a call from anyone, and encourage you to either email me or call. As I say, I'm pretty sure my information is public there, and if it's not, I'll make sure it is after this meeting.
Thank you for that, Eileen. And we will include at the end of this video and in the show notes as well, the free Toast Host site that Eileen mentioned. It has the information about where the club is meeting. It probably has Eileen's phone number. You can call her personally, find out about where the club's meeting in person, how to join virtually if you want to join virtually, because remember, this is a hybrid club. And from what I heard during tonight, just to summarize, a club with a purpose statement, a sense of community, high energy advanced members from a variety of different backgrounds. And what we heard over and over, you may think Toastmasters, getting better at speaking. That's true, but getting better at evaluations and getting thorough evaluations, different opinions from a group, custom evaluation forms, better evaluations since they have experienced members to give you their years of experience in the evaluation. So come to the club and experience the meetings. They're putting together some special meetings and evaluation contests. They bring your favorite speech they've done in the past, and then looking at evaluating some of the winning speeches to help you get better at as an evaluator. Who knows, you might join when they have a pirate theme, and when you do join, it may last as long as your marriage and maybe even longer. I wish you all at Advanced Access Toastmasters the best upcoming Toastmaster year ever.